Purple leucenstrife, a pretty purple flower on the sides of the Great Lakes that comes with damaging consequences. But what is this plant and how did it get here? Purple leucenstrife is an invasive species originating from northern Asia and southern Europe. The water-loving plant was not an issue in its native home because it had natural predators, such as the leaf-eating beetles. And it did not have year-long perfect growing conditions, but had years with dry spells and periods of extreme heat, which the wetland plant could not survive. Purple leucenstrife was introduced to the Canadian ecosystems in the early 1800s by gardeners and beekeepers who wanted them for ornamental purposes. They were also wanted because they promote pollination with their many flowers and pollen sources. Unfortunately, at the time, it wasn't known of how big of an issue this plant was going to be. Purple leucenstrife thrived in the moist, cool weather of Canada and quickly grew out of hands, with perfect growing conditions and zero predators to keep them in check. By the late 1800s, this flower could be found in every province of Canada and every state in the United States, as it had adapted and evolved perfectly to fit the conditions of every area it inhabited. It evolved to have an early growing season in the north with smaller plants and less flowers, and longer growing seasons in the south with more flowers and larger plants. Though the purple leucenstrife can be found all over Canada, it primarily resides at the banks of the Great Lakes, where it causes a lot of damage. Because of how quickly the plant can spread and reproduce, it has been ruining the biodiversity of the lakesides by taking out the other plants that are necessary food and shelter for the animals that live there. It also grows so densely that it can make water access difficult for humans and animals. If this plant continues to grow, it can ruin the ecosystem of our Great Lakes and lead to the extinction of the fragile animals that live there. Scientists and the government have realized this and have been putting many measures in place to stop the spread of this invasive species. One of the methods they tried was to release Asian leaf beetles into Canada, one of the natural predators of the purple leucenstrife. While this did work for a brief period of time, the beetles quickly lost interest and started eating other native plants, which ended up being counterproductive to what the scientists were trying to accomplish. The best and most effective way to eradicate the purple leucenstrife has been proven to be the use of herbicides. While herbicides are deadly for native plants, as well as native insects and animals, it can quickly get rid of invasive plants in larger areas. Herbicides are the best way to remove invasive plants in larger areas, but the purple leucenstrife also needs to be removed in smaller areas too, such as parks and gardens. Purple leucenstrife, you should try to remove it immediately. You can do this by first identifying the plant. Purple leucenstrife is very tall, about 4 to 5 feet in stature. It is often covered in small purple flowers with small triangular leaves at the bottom of the stalk. The stalk is about 2 inches thick and very woody in texture. Once you have correctly identified the plant, you can remove it by carefully digging around the roots, as not to shake the plant and cause the dispersal of seeds. Once the plant has been removed with the root, you can burn it to prevent the spread of the invasive species purple leucenstrife. I hope you learned something from my presentation. Thank you for listening.